Guys, and welcome back to another video. Not gonna lie, I tried to film this last week, but I got sick as a dog, and listening to the videos back, I sound so nasally, snotty, it's actually hell. So we're filming this again, and we're gonna be going through a full day of eating in my build phase because we've actually had some updates. So when I filmed this the other day, I actually got my food changed because my weight hasn't literally moved as much as we would have liked to in the first couple of weeks of adding the food back in, and it still didn't move. So my food has been upped yet again this week after my check-ins, and this is literally the most I've ever eaten in my entire life in terms of like being in a build phase, which is pretty interesting. You know, it's cool, we're fueling our sessions to the absolute max at the moment, so it's going to take you along what I'm eating throughout the day, kind of why I'm eating it, the purpose behind it, because at the moment I'm definitely making sure every meal serves a purpose. There's definitely bits and bobs in there like the creamy and the hot crust bun that's like purely for enjoyment, but for the most part it's just making sure that I'm eating enough between my sessions and even during, which is something we'll talk about later on, because in my sessions over the last couple of weeks I've definitely noticed the feeling of like being a little bit lightheaded in my sessions and things like that, so making sure I'm fueling enough before and during, and then just spacing out my meals across the day. So we'll bring you along for that. Meal number one is stock standard. Like, are you fucking surprised I'm eating oats? No, just oats, berries, protein powder, dark chocolate, the same thing every single time. I haven't really changed the portion of this meal as much, just given that I don't really like a big serving of oats personally. I don't like the texture of it. I don't like the taste of it with protein powder. I prefer to have like a more protein powder to the oat ratio, but I don't need as much protein at the moment, so we're just making do. Even though it is Wednesday, we are filming the potty today. That's what Mr. Jackson is doing in the background, because we are away this weekend. We're going to a wedding on Friday, so we're leaving tomorrow until Saturday, which will be fun. A really, really fun time. So we're getting ahead of the episodes of the podcast. At the moment, when we've been recording, we've been like 1 week ahead, so we're on a roll with that. Going to have this meal now, going to film the potty, and then we'll have it like probably an hour in between before we then go train. So then I'll show you my pre-workout meal then. Meal number two, or snack, basically a meal. There's lots of carbs in this one. So we're about to go train legs. 3 compresses. I did 27 grams of honey, which is about 70 grams of carbs, slay. And then I'm going to be having, during my session, one of Jackson's supplements, because he's the supplement king in this house. But it's just basically an intro workout carb powder, and it has about 30 grams of carbs per serving. So I'm going to have a scoop of this as well with some water while I train, and then obviously have pre-workout before, which we'll make together. But for now, I'm going to absolutely slay these crumpets. I love a crumpet pre-workout. I was a bagel girly, but too much protein. I'm already going way over with my protein at the moment. I don't need it. So crumpets it is, and I love them not toasted as well.
I like them toasted.
I don't like the crunch. I like the soft texture. I'm big on food texture. Like, if the texture is good, I'll love it. If the texture is off with a certain food, not happening. Like bananas, ugh, disgusting. Pre-workout, I like the taste. It's electric mango, slate from Nexus. Hashtag not spawn. I don't mind it. Just doesn't make me as itchy as I would like. Then the intro workout, I'm just a girl with all my shakers and my fucking drink bottles at the moment. Fucking coming everywhere with me. I like the big shaker for the intro, so then I can just sip it all through my session. This is like very watered down. It's like, it's very flavor. It's not too intense, and neither is that pre-workout, which is good. We had the, was it Altered State pre-workout the last time, and it was nice, but it was just like a little bit too sweet, where it just, you kind of get over the taste, whereas this one is actually like quite chill. So having a scoop of that, and then I'll drink this in the car. Then I'll need to piss, and then I'll drink the intro workout while we're there. But these are the only supplements I take, and then I have protein powder in my oats and creamy, but that's all for supplements. I'm not a huge supplement queen. Definitely used to be tied into all the supplements you could get back in the day. Women's Best was my kryptonite. Literally spent way too much money as a 16-year-old on those supplements. But as I've kind of kept going, I've never really gone back down the supplement route. I've probably gone for longer periods of time without it. Whereas old mate here is giving Chemist Warehouse in our kitchen. But to be fair, you did a prep, you're on some spicy juices, like you need that, you need to look after your health. But for me, not so much. But I'm sure that I'll probably have to once I go into prep. It'll probably Chemist Warehouse ×2 in this house. So we'll see. But that's all for suppies. Love the bulk nutrients protein powder. I highly recommend it. It's the protein matrix, the one that we use, and I find that digests the best. It tastes the best. It mixes the best. Haven't had any sort of like discomfort with it. It's usually the one I recommend to clients too, and have had great feedback from. Obviously, this first time I'm trying, or the first couple of weeks I'm trying intra-workout. I've never tried any other one before, and this tastes pretty good. And I feel strong in my session, so like slay. And this is just a new one we wanted to try to suss it out, and so far so good. I would recommend either, like this has actually been pretty good. Ghost pre-workout is also good. It's just quite expensive for the number of servings you get, whereas this one is cheaper and you get 50 servings, so you get a little bit more bang for your buck. Disorder is also pretty good for pre-workout. I find these have been the ones that I don't get that sort of crash from. I used to be an absolute fiend for C4 back in the day, and when I tell you, that was crack. Like that was proper, the jitters, but also just felt like shit after your session. It was like a really bad come down, and we're not here for that. We've got shit to do after we train. So those three I'd say would be my top three. So I decided to change things up and go through a little bit of a voiceover of my second leg session during this program. So currently being in my build phase, I'm working towards obviously building my legs for the wellness division when I go into my comp prep later on this year. And the goal right now is to smash my legs, to build as much as I possibly can in this last push. So starting off with the lying leg comp. This is put at the start of my day as my main compound lift is a pendulum squat. So we want to get some blood through the knee joints. This is also giving me a lot more hamstring volume at the start of the session before they get too fatigued later on, and making sure I'm controlling the weight. Always, no matter what lift you're doing, no matter what exercise you're doing, you always want to be controlling the weight. The weight doesn't control you. I'm also focusing on keeping my hips driven into the pad, so that way they're not jumping up. I'm not utilizing my lower back to compensate to lift the weight. Even though this isn't necessarily a heavy compound movement, I'm still treating this as my working sets. I'm still applying effort with every single set, taking them close to failure. Now my second movement is the pendulum squat. Like I said, we want wellness legs, so we need some fucking quads. So this being the main movement of the day, this is also a compound movement, so it's fairly taxing on the body. You know, we are using multiple joints within this movement. It's not just a quad isolation. So keeping this at the start of the session, when I'm most fresh, I'm going to get more out of it, making sure I'm getting as much depth as I possibly can. With this machine variation in particular, I do struggle to get as much depth as I personally can. So I'm going to be looking to investing in some yoga blocks to increase that range for me. But for now, I'm just focusing on controlling on the way down, making sure my hamstrings touch my calves with each rep, and driving through my whole foot to stand back up. Really, really powerful as well. Not just kind of going through the motions on the way up, and making sure every single rep is very intentional. Now, the third exercise is a dumbbell B-stance RDLs. I have just absolutely annihilated my quads. So we are now glute and hamstring focus with the B-stance RDL. This lets me bias one leg at a time without having the full instability of a single leg RDL. Having this unilateral exercise within this session as well just helps uncover any sort of strength imbalances, focusing on one leg at a time while still loading it heavy enough to stimulate growth in my hamstrings and my glutes. I'm making sure I'm moving with my hips and not just by letting my torso come down or letting my chest fall down. Same thing here, like with every other exercise, we want to be in control of the weight. I'm also making sure my rib cage is staying stacked over my pelvis, so keeping my core braced nice and tight as well. And given that it is a unilateral exercise, I do like to take a rest in between each leg, so that way when I go into my second side, I'm giving it the same amount of attention to detail as I did the first. I like to give myself at least 30 to 45 seconds in between each leg before I go into the second side. Now, the fourth exercise is a machine hip abduction, so we're getting a lot more glute isolation here. I have played around with leaning forward in this exercise in the past, but all I started to feel was a really uncomfortable pinch in my hips, and whilst I could still load it heavy, I wasn't getting a good mind to muscle connection with that. So I'm making sure I'm sitting upright with this, slightly leaning back, so that way I get a better contraction through my glutes. Even though the load is lower, the tension is much higher, and I'm definitely getting a much better connection with this, focusing on squeezing my glutes and opening up my hips to actually move the weight, not just focusing on moving my knees out as much as I possibly can. Moving into the fifth and final exercise is a 45-degree hip extension. Now, the loadability here isn't the best, and I personally can't be carrying 100 kilo fucking plates. So it's been put at the end of my session when I'm already quite fatigued, already done a lot of volume with my hamstrings, with my glutes. So I don't necessarily need to load this quite heavy to get enough out of it. This movement is just about squeezing as much as I can out of the last little bit of glute and hamstring volume, not chasing any crazy PBs here. It's more so getting out quality reps, really focusing on the squeeze on the way up. We didn't have a mental beat at the gym. Slay. That's a win.
I like to think that I had a lot to do with that. I stopped the mental breakdown, prevented it. You know, prevention is better than intervention.
When did you prevent it?
content.
Oh. In the session we didn't have mental breakdown though. I had a very good session.
I had a good session too, thanks for asking.
Girl is trying to eat, girl is hungry. Girl is very hungry.
So I think there's no harm in doing both.
Yeah.
We've already got the bases covered.
The saddest portion of chicken you'll ever fucking see. I've literally got to put one more ingredient in my bowl. Whenever you're meal prepping, because we meal prep ingredients with this one, I weigh everything out raw, I track everything raw, and then I divvy it up when it's cooked. So that's what 100 grams of raw chicken looks like once it's cooked. It's like 50 grams, so basically the weight halves. And then for rice, the weight doubles. So I'm having 75 grams of rice. I need to have 150 grams cooked, which is inside this container, for me to get 75 grams raw. So slay. And that's not me pulling a number out of my ass. I weighed it and I tracked it and I did the calculations. Oh, you were like me last week. Don't do that. It's going to be called Full Day of Eating. Yes. Not anymore. The podcast knows. We're just a household that uses every fucking appliance and utensil and... what's it called? Crockery that we fucking own every single day. The dishwasher works overtime in this house. No, I don't like to use a peeler because that's another utensil I don't want to fucking clean after. Where to be, nowhere to go, slay. Shep avocados suck. I saw a meme yesterday and it was like things you can use Shep avocados for, and it was as a doorstopper because these motherfuckers are rock solid. And I just don't understand who in their right mind decided that we're going to create an avocado that's rock solid and bring back Hass avocados. Justice for Hass avocados. Maybe I think they're just out of season. Either way, this is the last time I'm buying them because I don't like it. Like, I could log this cross country and knock someone out. Time it is. Time to eat again, but it's HCB time instead. Are you a fruit HCB girly, a chocolate HCB girly, or a fruitless HCB
Fruitless
girly?
baby.
The fruit ones?
Purely from a macronutrient perspective.
Fruit one.
Yeah, they got less fat. I don't mind raisins. Raisins, dates, sultanas.
Yuck, sultanas, raisins, in the bin. This is the highlight of my afternoon right now, so.
I'm the highlight of your life. Our sink is so clean.
Do you know what's really bad about our sink? This is just a day's worth. Not even. It's been like, we've been awake for 10 hours.
Don't show them, they will unsubscribe.
The amount of dishes we have collected since 5 a.m.
To be fair, we're up for a long time.
No, we just eat a lot of food. 2 aspiring bodybuilders into a home that live off meal prep and eat 7 meals a day and have a lot of caffeine.
I see no problem with any of that.
Go to Enjoyyy's HCB. Ciao. Look how pretty. You can't really tell, but it's just pink. We're pregnant.
Fuck, we are.
I'm pregnant with a boob baby. It's nighttime flex time. I don't know if I've showed you this dinner yet. I don't think I actually have, but this is a new one. This isn't a usual one on the roster. This is a new girl. It's pasta. So, cause calories and carbs are all quite high at the moment, protein not so much. I've actually haven't had to add a serving of protein to this because it is already quite high in protein, and we have an Ninja Creamy after this, which has protein in it. But if I was to make any adjustments, or if I wasn't having a creamy in the nighttime, I would add tuna to this. It's literally just half a bag of spinach basically, 125 grams, I'm pretty sure it is, of pasta. You'll see obviously the macros anyway. Capsicum, and then I add some sun-dried tomatoes too, and it is so yummy. It's just like one of those meals where I would never normally eat this, but I like this in a meal because it forces me to eat lots of more veggies. Decent hit of fiber with this as well. I'm using wholemeal pasta. And it's different because I know I'm not going to eat something like this in prep because it's too calorie dense. This is like half a day worth of fucking eating in a deficit. So I'm enjoying it now. And I'm also just trying to have a play with different flavors and try and seeing how I can incorporate different vegetables into my diet, because I have cucumbers and fucking tomatoes. And it's easier, I find, to get, no, that's a lie. It's not easy for me to get veggies in a build because I still don't like them. But I'm like playing around with pasta, see if I can sneak in some like spinach here. And I want to try and be as creative as I can with my meals now to see if I can get more vegetables in, because obviously with less food when you're dieting, you want to be able to, one, get a little bit more food volume in, but also make sure you're getting in enough micronutrients as well, which is going to come from your veggies and whole foods. So I'm trying to have a play around with like different recipes and see how I can get them in. So I'm not going to have that when I'm dieting, and that's perfect. I love that, and it is what it is. But then I put it in the microwave and it like just wilts the spinach a little bit more, so it's not as high volume obviously right now. And then I add the sun-dried tomatoes on top. It's just chef's kiss. But it's really nice having a meal like this for dinner because I don't have to do anything. I just have to heat it up, which is pretty slay.
It's so nice not having to make potatoes.
Yeah, not having to make potatoes, not having to cut any vegetables. Obviously I did that with my lunch, but just the cleanup process at dinner at the moment is actually not that bad. These are the sun-dried tomatoes I use, ILYSM. And I just weighed out, I think I've tracked 50 grams of this, so I'll obviously do the sun-dried tomatoes and then I pour a little bit of oil because that accounts for it with the macros. I'm pretty sure because it's quite high in fats. The macros anyway, so we'll see. I would absolutely not be adding sun-dried tomatoes to a meal when in a deficit because this is just pointless when you're dieting. But for a bit of flavour and build, can do. That's the pasta salad situation we have going. Coke Zero, absolute slay, and I'll see you for dessert.
Welcome back to the vlog. It's creamy time.
Creamy time. That's my one. Jackson did a chalky one. Whenever you're weighing out your spreads, put it on the scale, zero it out, and then scoop it. That is going to wrap up this full day of eating. This has pretty much been the rotation for the last 2 weeks since the food has increased. And yeah, probably going to be like this for a while until I decide to swap up my meals again, just to add like a little bit of variety like I said. But for the most part, this is what the meals have been looking like every single day. I'm feeling pretty good overall. Digestion has been consistent, which has been something I've struggled with in the past in my build, but I have to say I've been more cautious and mindful of my fiber, making sure I'm getting enough fiber. So I'd say that's probably like the difference compared to the last time I've done a build. I'm paying more attention to that. Overall appetite's been alright. Like obviously it helps having things like biscuit and hot cross buns where it is quite calorie dense, so the food volume isn't a lot. So it's been quite easy just to get in this amount of food, because this is the most food I've ever eaten in my life. Like the highest my last build got to was like 2,500. So eating nearly like 400 grams of carbs a day, 2,600 calories. This is a lot than what I'm used to. So utilizing things like that I like to help with getting a little bit more food with less volume, but for the most part with all the meals I still try and base around protein, carbs, fats, fruits / veggies. And yeah, I'm very happy with the meals, very happy with how I am looking at the moment as well, and basically got 6 more weeks to push this until it's prep time. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Time for the best part of the night, creamy and mass. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye driver. Bye driver.